everybody, it's Alan Brochstein from Houston and New Cannabis Ventures, and formerly the head of 420 Investor. I own the name, it's trademarked, and I will be opening at Seeking Alpha this year. And this is my opportunity to get everybody updated on what happened in the cannabis sector this week. It was a quiet week. The only news that really came out of importance, I think, to cannabis investors were the Illinois numbers that came out. The adult use, which is the larger part of the market, came out on Friday, maybe in the afternoon, early. And then the medical numbers came out very late in the day. I did publish a piece at New Cannabis Ventures this morning on that. And the main thing about Illinois was that there was a seasonal bounce, and also because there were 31 days in December. It's our first look at a major state. And it's a major state because of its size, but also the fact that so many leading MSOs are based there. So, as I said, I quit Benzinga totally on at the end of the year. And I do plan to open and be loud about my new service at 420 Investor at Seeking Alpha soon, and I'll let you know on that. I've been at Seeking Alpha for 16 years. Actually, 16 years it's been. And I've written a lot there. I did slow down from 2014 until recently, but I'm writing there again. And this week I wrote a piece on GTI. Maybe 3 weeks ago, I wrote on Planet 13, and I'm trying to share my views publicly more. And you can read that. It's linked in my newsletter that went out, which will be linked in the summary of this video. So I also, this week, in addition to writing about Green Thumb Industries, I tracked the news, and I have a focus list of 31 important names or cheap names that I cover, and 6 of them reported news this week. Aurora, I don't think it was that important, sold a cultivation facility for about Canadian $15 million. Canopy Growth had already announced their exit from retail stores, and they completed the sale of their retail stores this week. Lowell, which is a company I really like, they're a former client at New Cannabis Ventures, and I visited them in San Francisco when I was there last month. And they already had 2 deals, one with Ascend in 4 states and one with Schwaz in 2 states. And they added a 3rd company, The Farm, in Arizona, and this gets them into their 7th state for getting their brand out there. Planet 13, the co-CEOs sent out a letter to the shareholders, and the stock went up a lot. I don't think that had anything to do with it. There was really nothing in that letter, but hey, it's good to see that they're alive after the terrible year they had. And then the 5th one is Tilt Holdings, again announced a debt reduction and an extension of their remaining small amount of debt, part of their senior debt. And they also have some junior debt. So this stock was the best stock that I tracked this week. It was up more than 50%. And then Village Farms announced that they're beginning to ship to Israel. And so this week was the first week of the year, and the cannabis sector did very well on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the first 3 days of the year, and then not so well yesterday. Yesterday, if you recall, the S&P 500 soared and moved from down year-to-date a little bit to up 1.9%, so almost 2%. The Global Cannabis Stock Index at New Cannabis Ventures, which has 25 stocks in it now, was up 3.4%, and it actually fell a little bit yesterday despite the rally in the S&P 500. So we're already a full point and a half better than the S&P 500. And I know I'm a little biased, but I expect that gain to be large and long lasting this year. We've had 2 bad years in cannabis stocks, and I know a lot of people think it's going to be bad forever. I'm not in that camp. I'm not going to say it's going to be great immediately, but I think it should get better. And the index lost 70.4% last year. That was down a little bit more than the S&P 500, right? And so I did create, I know I've talked about my model portfolios that I was running at Benzinga, and I created 2 model portfolios. I had 3 there. One was a swing trading, and 2 were longer term focused. Now I have 2, and they are called Beat the Global Cannabis Stock Index, which should be self-explanatory, and a new one. So that is the Beat the Global Cannabis Stock Index is kind of like my old 420 Opportunity and 420 Quality. But the new one is called Beat the American Cannabis Operator Index. And that one is new, like I said, and it's designed to beat the American Cannabis Operators Index. I've written about MSOS, the ETF, a few times in the newsletter at New Cannabis Ventures and on Seeking Alpha. And I really like the guy that runs it, Noah Hammond, but it stops there. And I've written about what's wrong with it. There's something big time wrong with the way they're going about it. And a lot of people, I think naively, honestly, just trust in MSOS. And I don't think the stocks they invest in are bad. Some of them are. They invest in Agrify, for example. But it's the way their ETF is constructed. The top 5 names, I didn't check it for this weekend, but the top 5 names at the end of the year were 82%. The top 4 names were 75%. That's just stupid, if you ask me. If you look at the cannabis space, to put it all on the top 5 is a bad move, and I've been warning about that. There's nothing wrong with the top 5. It's just bad portfolio management. And I will tell you that I think the next 4 names are better than the top 5. But a lot of people think wrongly that, oh, the top 5 aren't going to buy the next 4, so the next 4 aren't worth buying. That could be true. There could be other buyers, and especially if Canopy Growth is able to hold on to its NASDAQ listing out and buy American assets. It's going to open the door for everybody. Not that, excuse me, not that I'm predicting that. All right. So I did launch these 2 model portfolios, and they had a great week. And thank you, Tilt Holdings. Thank you, Planet 13. Those are 2 of the names that are in there that did really well. Thank you, Ascend Wellness. Thank you, TerraSend. Those 4 are in it. Not all the names were up, but the Beat the Global Cannabis Index did beat the Global Cannabis Index. And remember, the model portfolio I was sharing last year when I was in the hospital for 2 months and kind of out of it, but that's not an excuse, was only equal to the index, which for Alan Brochstein is really bad. I've always beaten it, but not this year. And it was really bad because I was set up for the ancillaries to do better, and they didn't. But this week, not because the ancillaries did better, because of the names I mentioned, I was up 10.1%. That's a lot better than 3.4%, right? 3 times the market. And then the new one beat the American Cannabis Operator Index, was up a stunning 14%. Now, that's not as good relative to the index because the index was up 9.3%. It's still good, but not 3 times because then I would have been up 28%. No, but I also compare it to MSOS, the ETF, and that was up only 1.7%. It lost, it doesn't have an index, but it lost to the Global Cannabis Stock Index and it lost to the more appropriate American Cannabis Operator Index. And that's one of my goals, to beat that. And I was 8 times the return of MSOS last week. I can't do that every week, I can tell you that. And I think that MSOS, if I had to guess, is going to go up. But I will tell you that it's been running at a discount to the net asset value, which is rare. And I am a little bit concerned that it continues to shrink, which puts selling pressure, and they have, I don't know what it is now, but about 80% of the portfolio in 5 names. And by the way, I really like Ascend Wellness. It's not my favorite MSO, but I really like it. And they don't own it, and I don't know exactly why. Okay, I'm going to conclude with a look at the calendar. And there are 2 reports this week. I don't think they're important at all to the overall cannabis market. The first one, I don't care for this company, Tilray, and they report on Monday morning. And remember, they booked a gain from Hexo last quarter, and Hexo's stock has plunged, and there's going to be a loss. I know it's not operating loss, but so I shared a target recently that's a little bit higher than the current price, and that's a target for their year end, which is at the end of May. So in about 5 months, maybe 4.5 months, almost 5 months, a little bit higher. So I'm not going to predict that Tilray is going to go down. It has a double bottom right now back to the crash in early 2020. And then on Thursday, a company I really like, Organigram, and they report their Q1. So that was Tilray's Q2. Organigram reports its Q1, and all I can say is I think Organigram is a good company at a great price that's fundamentally strong. And they have a lot of cash and no debt, and they have a strategic investor. Add it all up, I think it's good. So that's really it. Stay tuned on my Seeking Alpha. I will be working through the legal challenges that I'm facing now. It's really, I'm a conservative person, and that's what it's all about. But when I go live, you will hear about it. And I think this is going to be a good year to be long cannabis stocks. And I hope to provide you with the leadership you're looking for. Take care. Have a good week.